Good morning. First, I'd like to start with a prayer, so please join me. Om Nase Namda Raje Nandupe Taji Juju Jina Jubayi Sangye Judangi Dupape Kuna Chase Daja Tashi Shu Deme Jabo Seten Tundugo Chambe Nimbe Garabat Kuna Gumba Jaja Dabaje Lumbo Darbazara Peldane Simje Tamje Lagung Tabe Isam Zeba Zero Double Day Sensam Debe Tashi Pepe They were Shepa Yala Chas Jambejano Balden Dorjezi, Cherezi Wangumbo Jimbe, Say Nimbo de Panumbrese, Namganimbo Pajokundo, Obeduji Pega Lugina, Nubuda Water Inimai, Chazelenum Tajibi, Janjuzem Bagala, Chazalo, Rinjin Duju Tajisir, Dudjom Boza Yung Kamala, Nyanda Dunda Punzo Baby, Menu Gaze Wanjurokolo, Rinjin Daju Jigi Jadenje, Judu Java Ching. Nisongo Timbe Pepe, Tashi Lamo Gala Cha Salo, Samba Chimbo de Jungs. Midona Yalbo Yulgurson, Paye Bodan, Luamimi, Numtes, Hazagolo, Tishola, Dondo Jason, be wanted to Chitangas. Sasum Nazo Galeg de Shipe, Jitin Gala Chasalo, Daja Tindirchawasum. Gidan Yawartsawa Kunjine, Dudem Pepes. Yijin rup tashi dele pusum so parasho. Jumnende para gumbo jizun jambe yana cha salo kongilu dini dimde nitanum tarasebe chinge dego chizin zijini gudwa. Nganda sebe zara mare mundum dungan kesebe tosoguna pujit. Yana tuju yangdan son tutrichido nyomo nyano legajiro tuzichin mare muse dungri nyiku chinge chuserat. Dene saju tarden dene so gesetu. Juda Jungin Yonder, the Lomus, Jampriana, Marabzanade, Marabzanade, Marabzanade. Marabzanade, 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 Marabzanade. Marabzanade, Marabzanade, Marabzanade. Marabzanade, Marabanade, Marabzanade, Marabzanade, Marabzanade. Kurgum the Deja Shingipa, Ubetina, Shera, Retinum, Lepanzime, Jimage. Gumbo Jambayana, Chansa, the Concetta Bardo, Jose Tibur. Gumbo Jamian ki Keme Parian Tom Varashu. So wonderful to see everyone. So today we can have discussion later. Any questions you have about particular practices or what practice I heard there people want to have question what practice they should do. I think after being blessed by His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche's visit here, what a great Dharma celebration that was. I think the celebration was in basic goodness, that we all have a Buddha nature, which is basic goodness. And when we are among truly great enlightened beings, it's more of a reflection of oneself than as some kind of exotic Shangri-La kind of experience. Because it's basically those great beings, they have traversed the path, such as if you look at the life story of Shakyamuni Buddha, there are 500 impure lives and there are 500 pure lives, for example, to make it simple. Of course, it's not like that's all his life cycle was. You cannot mention millions and billions of those, but to bring it to a simple version, 500 impure lives and 500 pure lives. So something, we also personally recollect memories nearby. We don't say, what did I do like 20 lives ago? He just says, what did I do in my early age? And then based on that, you try to define your life, what you want to do and where you want to be, including your all kinds of trips that you have taken, including your spiritual trips, from eternalistic view to nihilistic view. And finally, you came to the middle path view, which is the view of the Shakyamuni Buddha. And we are not just following the Buddha Shakyamuni as like some kind of fan of a football famous player. You can keep that personally to yourself, ethnically to the Broncos in Denver. But here, when I say following the middle view of Shakyamuni Buddha, what is middle view? The question is. Middle view means transcending the extreme of eternalism because you see that view is wrong, because it's a fixated view. And when you go deeper, reflecting, introspecting about the extremes of eternalism, it really doesn't correspond at all with the reality of phenomena. If you look at the reality of phenomena, let me go back. When I say it doesn't really correspond with the reality of phenomena, because when in the eternalistic view, it's independent, inherently something independent. That is basically the eternalistic view. To the point, all eternalistic view, not just Christianity, Hinduism, most of the world teaching basically, it falls into three categories. You can sum it up, the entire doctrinal view of the world, or not only just this world system, but the entire universe system cannot go beyond the three views. Either people see it eternalistic, or people see it nihilistic, and then in between is the middle path. And you can sum it up, whether including, within the Christianity, the Seventh-day Adventist, Catholicism, Protestants, and so many different schools. And same thing in Hinduism, there's Jainism, Shivaism, and Vishnuism, and then many different views. So does many other schools of the world. Let's go back to Zoroastrianism, which started probably in Persia. So all the different worldviews, either it falls into the category of eternalism, or you just say, no, it's just nihilistic. Things happen out of pure incident, which is nihilistic basic view. There's no belief in creator. It's just like going to the other extreme, where there's, it's just like whatever things happen, there's no cause. So there's no corresponding, there's no understanding of cause and effect. It's just pure incident happening. That's basically nihilistic view. An eternalistic view Everything is very real, eternal, and is created by a creator. Whatever that creator is called, whether the creator is called Bhagwan in the Hinduism, God in Christianity, or God in Judaism, or Zoroastrianism may have different names. They're infinite names. Can you believe, ever since the evolution of universe, let's not just look at humankind, evolution of universe, always there has been a God of some kind, eternalistic view. It is not that there is a God outside. I think it's our own mind, when we really study and reflect and look into it, that as we take everything so serious, everything so real, we couldn't let go. I mean, you could think about, why should I be angry? Why should I hold on to something which really doesn't matter? But we hold on to it. There are families in medieval times, including in Tibet, in eastern Tibet mostly, Kampas. They take revenge even after 3 generations. And if you can't take revenge, you are considered a coward. Holding on to, grasping on to, like you couldn't forgive, you couldn't let go, and it remains in generations to generation. And we can see that as a nations, in religious, holding so much war, bringing war by holding, couldn't let go, like stuck with the fixation of that. That is eternalism. Any kind of you feel stuck, that you hold on to, you think, and you know at the end, a lot of people realize, so many years I got apart from my friend. We were good friends before, and later people don't even talk for the rest of their life. Certain situation leads people to go to fight in a court. Good friends, people close, they think it will never happen among them, but things happen like that, holding on to it. So we all see it was not wise, definitely. It was all for nothing. So that is the problem with this kind of fixated views. To the point, people really like to, underneath, as much as underneath we know there are a lot of wrongs, a lot of wrong views, but people like to fantasize, glorify that. I see people going to war. For example, when I'm in New Delhi, I read Times of India newspaper. In the Times of India, there's a section where there is dedicated to people who, soldiers who have died, so-and-so from the family, our beloved father, Major so-and-so, Captain so-and-so, or it just doesn't really matter, somebody, businessman so-and-so. And probably those people, I'm not saying they're all bad people, but according to the nature of phenomena, the immediate result of anger, which brings a lot of suffering, and you can't even have any sense of clear judgment, that result of that, or consequence of that anger, a phenomena is called hell. As a result of our greed, stinginess, greediness, when that reaches crescendo, the greed reaching its crescendo, there's a result, consequence, what is called as hungry ghost. So you see, the source of our state of being for every sentient being is the result, direct result of their own mental state. Where there is a predominant anger, if you can see, person who is a predominant anger is not very happy generally. No matter where he or she goes, there is so much conflict. The world seems like always against you in your mind, even nobody's doing any harm to you. And we saw one of that example, sadly, recently, is the ISIS, those extremist, radical Islamic fundamentalists, where they see everyone as some kind of problem. So whether they throw people out or whether they kill people, just they see the whole world is against. That is the kind of problem, the result of anger. And no need to talk about them. We can all look in our own example. When we are so engrossed with anger, the side effect of that. And right now, you experience the side effect in this particular phenomena as a human being, phenomenon of human being. We will probably live until we die. Until we die, we are human being. But we are also creating all these different energies and consequences which we have to go through. So nobody escapes from one's own creation, one's own mind's creation. If your mind is predominant by anger, there will be some negative effect. You're already seeing the negative effect in your body, your health, your mental state well-being, your family, your community, you're already seeing that. But then, finally, when it reaches crescendo, then, the whole thing will appear quite seriously. As we can see, the side effect takes time. Nuclear radiation. I don't think if you just suddenly there's a nuclear radiation, not like a bomb thrown out. If there's a bomb thrown out, of course you will you will just finish at that spot. But it's like, it takes time to get it more serious into your health system. And finally, when it's 100% into your system, then at that time you will no longer live. Same thing, everything has a number. Sort of what I mean by number, like it takes 99 cents plus 1 cent to make a $1, right? Otherwise, it's not, if there's only 99 cents, it's not $1, it's just called 99 cents. So it's like, people want to give you the perception of $1.99, so $249 or whatever in the shops. So make you think it's not that expensive, So same thing, for a karma, good karma or bad karma, to ripen, it needs its completeness. So when you keep adding every day, whether it's a negative thing, you keep adding every day. If it's a positive thing, you keep adding. At some point, it will fully mature. Like when you're courting someone, I think it takes time, isn't it? You go with one flower, you go with two flowers, you take finally you get. Not the first day you throw a flower, that's it. So everything has its number, that's what I mean. Good or bad has its number, how it needs to it needs a completion, like a flower too. You need to put a seed, and then you need to constantly care about it. And then at the right season, right conditions, primary cause, secondary conditions, timing, everything happens, then it will appear fully. Same thing, karma does appear like that. Same thing with karma. And that, so the point, talking about eternalistic view, nihilistic view, and middle view, eternalistic view fixation doesn't give since it is created by agent here, the world is created by agent, which is called Bhagwan or Allah or God. It's on the whims of that, according to the doctrinal teaching of that view, everything is created by a creator. And that creation is eternal. So from the middle path view, that is a problem. Because there is no such thing, no matter how much you can try to fix something, all conditioned phenomena is not eternal. In the middle path view, the Buddhist teaching, the 4 pillars of Buddhism. The first pillar is all conditioned phenomena is impermanence. All afflictive emotion is suffering. The nature of all phenomena is devoid of any inherent existence, shunyata. And then nirvana is peace. Liberation from that condition is peace. That is the 4 pillars of Buddhism. In Buddhism, Buddha Shakyamuni is not considered the creator of the world at all. There is no creator at all, in fact, according to the Buddhist teaching. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are not considered creator. In the Buddhist teaching, the view of the middle way is interdependent. Cause and effect. Well, as far as how the world functions is interdependent. When we eat something, we have to grow the food. There has to be so many things has to go. Farmers, Mexican have to, a lot of South American have to sneak out to work in the field in America. So then, otherwise, most white folks, they don't want to do that kind of job. So there's so many interdependent. I just want to joke here, But finally, after so many efforts and conditions put together, finally you have a potato, or you have a tomato, you have a cabbage, you have a cauliflower, those fruits grown. Think about how much preliminary conditions and sources have gone for that food, what you see on your kitchen table has gone. So much work. And then you have to cook it. So there's so much interdependent in that. So all the problem with the creationism is there is no translation of interdependent. The interdependent has no business in an independence phenomenon. But the way things function in this universe is interdependent. So those become very serious questions. And one of the interesting things in the Buddhism, Buddha's words are called lung in Tibetan. And then there is intelligence. Lung and Rigpa, certain very subtle things sometimes hard to grasp. If you say the color of the peacock, feathers, what causes that peacock's colors, level by level, inner level, then outer level, then very external level? Why is not the inner color outer and outer inside, for example? Why our nose is here instead of here? So certain features and certain karmic manifestations are so subtle that an ordinary mind cannot really, look. It cannot really have the deep comprehension. We don't remember sometimes what we ate 1 week ago. I don't remember what I ate yesterday sometimes. So to look back into the evolutionary beginning and what causes those, definitely there's a cause, no question of that. The human evolutionary, the body of human or the body of animals, there is, evolutionary DNA, the makeup of that very DNA. Only a fully enlightened being can see that every string of hair to every eye to nose and mouth and everything. Most ordinary people cannot perceive that because our mind is trapped with so many different afflictive emotions which obscure that seeing the obviously there's a cause. Obviously there's a cause and effect. There's a fundamental, very subtle cause and effect. And then as it develops, we can see at this point, like we are fully matured as a human being. But what makes us human? What is the age? Why this finger is here? Why not maybe 3 finger here? Those kind of like karmic consequence, karmic thing, only a very high, enlightened high level can see that. So, subtle is called the subtle phenomena. Well, gross phenomena we know, today science can tell very well. But however, cause and effect, when we go with the view of eternalism, then it's almost, we have no responsible because we are on the whims of the Creator. We are not responsible for anything. Because the Creator has created the creation, then you just wait for it to move because the Creator has the button of you, and when they press the different buttons, you will change. But that doesn't happen that way. That we have to do the change. If we don't bring the change, there's nothing the Creator can do. So in the Buddhist philosophy, it says, is the Creator in the creation one, or is the Creator in creation separate? That question is asked. If the Creator is God, omniscient, according to the philosophy of the eternalistic, theistic view, Creator is omniscient. So, omniscient creation should be just the same as the Creator. It cannot be anything less, or it cannot be anything higher or more. It should be totally exactly the same version of the DNA. How can a God DNA can have a demon DNA afterwards, creation? It's not possible. It doesn't make logical sense. Now, if the Creator in creation is separate quality, then there is no connection to begin with the Creator in the creation. If the Creator in creation is one, then the creation should have the same quality of the Creator, which is omniscient now. See? So that question is asked, whether things are created by creation or things are not created by creation. So there's a lot of problem in that view, but however, let's not blame the Christianity or Hinduism or all of them. I think, from my point of view, what I think, we create all the religion of the world. We're the one who made the human beings. We're the one who made all the. So how did we make that? Is basically, you see, we always like to blame things on others. We like to take credit that we didn't even do, but we like to blame things that, that we did it. We like to blame on others. People are ready to take the credit normally, but blame things on others. That's the weakness of the ego's mind. Basically, the the question comes to ego. The question comes to self. And when the questions come to ego and the question comes to self, is a question of sense of security, sense of survival. Do I survive? Am I there? Constantly, there's deep underneath our mind, we are always struggle with our sense of survival in our world. For example, the first thing in the morning you get up and you tell your husband or wife or your friends and families, good morning. And if they ignore, you get hurt. Your sense of survival is squashed. Am I don't exist? Hey, what's going on? We say sometimes, didn't you hear what I said? Good morning. Let's make it louder. Now this time good morning comes with a sense of aggression. You see, the constant deep inside, the sense of survival. And then finally when we try to reaffirm, like put the last seal, the stamp of, the last stamp, seal, then we bring God, we bring Bhagwan. Oh yes, I exist because He made me so. It's basically really the all talk about that ego's expression. It's really the commentary of self. It's a commentary of that, individuality's sense of survival speaking. It's not God speaking, it's your ego speaking. To reaffirm your sense of survival, And then deeply look within ourselves. How much we try to reaffirm our sense of existence, sense of survival, with every possible thing. We get angry, we get jealous, and I have a right to be jealous, I have a right to get angry. All the neuroses are the only play of that because it's fundamentally, it got wrong, now everything goes wrong. It's like a dominoes effect. That's called the cycle of samsara, no ending. We keeps going around and around and around and around. It's like makes you crazy. And we are all crazy. It's like, you're driving on a highway without any exit. And then it makes you drive crazy. Same thing is happening to us. Cycle of day, cycle of night, cycle of day, constantly always moving around. And tired. We are tired of everything. And really, no one to blame. That is the power of ignorance. And the ego is the expression of ignorance. And then once there is ego, there is all the afflictive emotions, comes one after another. So your whole sense of life, sense of being, talk about basic goodness, basic sanity. We lost the perspective of it. We lost perspective compassion. We lost perspective bodhichitta. We lost, which is inherent quality of every being, basic goodness, compassion, liberation, skillful mean, wisdom. But rather the sense of ego and a sense of that existence of self, so strong, day after minute, hour after hour, days after week, week after months, months after year, year after year, we've been holding on to it and we've been feeding that. And now you have fed the poisonous snake, and what it will do, you thought it was a nice pet. Now it's stinging and giving you poison. And so your mind is wrapped up in afflictive emotions. A lot of like that. That's the danger of samsara. And who can lead that out of you? Yourself. Therefore you need to hear the Dharma, you need to reflect the Dharma, you have to practice. Then only you can lead yourself out. The mess is created by the mind, and our mind is the answer to that. Mind can lead you out. Mind has let you in through ignorance. You can come out of ignorance through your mind. And that is the promise. That is that you can do it because you have basic goodness within you. So that's why it says, be compassionate, be kind, do all positive actions, mentally, speech, physically, as much as you can, directly, indirectly. Help people, do things, do something good, because you come out of that negativity source. You come out of it. You're shedding like a skin of the potato, or like, I think that vegetable. In the center, there's a little bit to eat. Outside, you have to constantly... Artichoke, yes. We are like an artichoke right now. So many skins that needs to be shed. And then finally you can see the purity of that, your mind. So each and everything you do good, therefore intention is very important all the time. And looking at the mind, there's one word Buddha said. The Tibetan one is do not create any negativity or unvirtue. Create virtue. Now this sums it up, okay? This word sums it up. Create virtue. Subdue your mind. Subdue means this neurotic mind, this self. That is Buddha Dharma. There's no other Buddha Dharma than that. Because then you will lead out of samsara. Liberation can happen only when that is done. So Dharma is in your heart. Dharma is not outside. How you relate with your mind, that is the answer will come from you. If you relate with your mind, engaging all the time in confusion and neurosis, you can't expect happiness. It's not going to happen. It's a wish-fulfilling thought. But if you put that into practice, particularly every day, do some Tonglen practice. As a Mahayana practitioner, you should all do Tonglen practice, taking and sending. Or, when you're out, take someone for a tea, share, something kind, and really, give them your love and kindness. They're all part of the Dharma practice. Dharma practice is not just simply assigned to taking and sending. Of course, taking and sending through breathing is a practice too. But also, your hand, your physical gesture, your self, sense of being is a practice when you're a bodhichitta. So more than that, bodhichitta is more than compassion. Compassion has a sense of, seeing someone's suffering at that moment and you try to relieve them at that moment. But bodhicitta is a union of emptiness and clarity. That's what bodhicitta, which is your fundamental nature. So sometimes people say, Rinpoche, I love Buddhism, I like to, but I'm not ready to be Buddhist. I'm not Buddhist. I say, okay. Basically, you can't take refuge if you don't have bodhicitta. Do you ever know that? If you don't have bodhicitta, you don't have refuge. I think people skipping that part. People think refuge is a different thing, like you join a club. Oh, today I signed myself and now I paid my dues. And let me take a picture with the Buddha holding his hand. I'm Buddhist from today. No, it doesn't work that way. He already made the statement. Don't create any unvirtue, create virtue, subdue your mind. That is the Buddha Dharma. There's no other Buddha Dharma than that. In fact, further, there is a Buddha statement says, those who see me as a form, they have not seen me. That's again, you may be practicing Dharma, Buddhist Dharma, but then again, you're holding it as an eternalistic view. He said, those who seen me as a form have not seen me. Those who, you have to basically see, work it with your mind. And again here, bodhichitta, why I said, if you don't have bodhichitta, you don't have refuge. I want you to think about this summer. Really, this is a very, very deep subject, and I think, please reflect on that. What does it really mean? And bodhicitta is union of emptiness and skillful mean, or interdependence and moment you talk about interdependence, it is not fallen into one side of action. It is a two-part interdependent, a coin of two sides. One side is the appearance. One side is, in order for it to appear, there has to have a space. Nothing can appear if there's no space. So from the Tantric Buddhism point of view, the space is the feminine wisdom aspect. So all female are regarded as Dakinis, wisdom aspect. And the appearance is regarded as male, the skillful mean, male representation is the skillful mean, and feminine representation is the wisdom, the space. All human beings come out of mother's womb, the space. All things appear, this house and mountains and trees and ocean is accommodated by the space. So without space, so when we feel like sometimes so busy-minded, we feel like congested. We feel like we can't think, we can't move. I need to rest, I need to get some space. Even famous and many musicians have also, made music about space. I think I was yesterday I was driving and I put the music and there was Chicago music. And he said, I need some space from you, baby. Something. Sometimes we need space, he says in the music. If you don't have space, you go crazy. So you can have space all the time. Is if you can sit and practice, meditate every day. That's what I'm saying. Dedicate yourself like half an hour a day, or 1 hour a day, or 15 minutes, whatever you can. Sit and meditate. Then it creates this space. The space will be there always. The deeper you go into your practice, the deeper there will be space for you. Your mind will not be affected. Certain things which become very hard to work with before are now not so difficult after you have a good practice of meditation. I think morning meditation affects your whole day. The whole day how you deal with it. Compared to you have never done meditation, you just get up in the morning, drink a cup of coffee, run, and then the whole day is overcrowded. If you just sit even for like 10 minutes in the first thing in the morning, and then you go, you will see differences. Because your mind is more open. You don't have to buy space. You already have space. Fundamental space is you already is within your mind. So therefore, practice of meditation becomes very important. So something like that. Meditation. And then post-meditation state. Practice of bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta. Combining those two are very important. That's how general Dharma practice is done in that way. So something like that. So if you have any questions, we can have some question answer now. Yes?
Rinpoche, I didn't come here. Rinpoche, I didn't come here expecting to have a theological discussion with you. I came with questions about trauma.
Okay.
But listening to you speak, certain things occur to me, and maybe at some point you and I could talk and have a theological discussion.
Okay.
But there are, for example, in my practice, we say Buddhism is non-theistic, which is to say there is no creator, God, independent.
Yes.
That things arise through the power of karma and interdependence, all of which are inherently empty of any essentially existing true nature. But I would say that in my practice, and maybe this will resonate for other people, there are certain aspects of Dharma practice, and I think this is particularly true in the Vajrayana, in which certain things serve a godlike function, even though they may not be God. So for example, if I pray to Guru Rinpoche, and my understanding is that Guru Rinpoche lives, I don't know another word, so I say lives, timelessly in a light body, omniscient, and compassionately responsive. That is not the same as a so-called creator God, but it participates somewhat in a godlike function. Similarly, if I'm in distress and I call upon Tara, or if I pray to the Lama, for example, for blessings, for siddhi, for meditative experience, for bodhichitta to grow. I mean, if I pray to the Lama, I don't think you can hear me when I'm doing that. But yet, the whole function, the whole thing, of praying that way to Guru Rinpoche as a being who is, to use the word existent, I know that that's debatable, and who is deathlessly available to the heartfelt prayers of those whom invoke him. That's sort of a godlike function.
Good question. I think what is missing here, when Buddha gave this second turning of the wheel of Dharma, breaking down everything to emptiness, there's a negation. And I think that's where you're going, to negation. Like the old thing is supposed to be emptiness. But it's not just that emptiness. It is a union of appearance and emptiness. You see, I think there's been so many books written, so many debates has been done over the centuries about this nature of shunyata. And it's quite easy for a mind which has been holding on to something so all the time fixated. Now finally when we break through that, we see that things are interdependent. And when we see things are interdependent, it's not really fixated as we think. Right now everything is so real. For an ordinary person on the street who never hear Dharma, this is very real. This is ultimate truth. They would not even say this is relative truth. This is ultimate truth. But for a Dharma practitioner, this is not ultimate. This is relative truth. The conditions are relative. They're conventional. They're called relative. So relative means not absolute. So when our mind is so used to like fixation, solidifying fixation to things, finally when we see interdependent reality, it's not really that fixating. It's more open. It's more empty. But then here's the thing. Then we think, now it's mean nothing. That is a little nihilistic view, actually. because you didn't really saw the energy, primordial energy. Space and appearance are indivisible, in fact. They're not even separate. So a lot of people think that indivisible union of space and appearance is like putting a red thread and a white thread together. Then you can see there's what is red, so putting them together. That's like our dualistic mind projection. Dualism will either fall into extreme of nothingness or extreme of something. That is the nature of duality. Therefore, it is said the dualistic mind cannot see non-dual mind. As a result, now since many of you got Dzogchen teaching, I can just, give us some sample of it, so to speak. When you do meditation shamatha meditation is like calming, abiding mind. So there's some level of very subtle, definitely some fixation to that. But that's okay. We are talking getting rid of your gross fixation and into a calm, abiding state. So you stay in the calm. However, there's a clinging to a calm, abiding state. That clinging to calm, abiding is okay. It's like if you have to go to the roof of this roof, you need a ladder. You need to rely on this ladder, or you need to rely on the elevator. You can't say, oh, I don't care about elevator, I don't care about the ladder, and I just think of the ladder. You're not going to get there. So there is some process on the path. So, however, so that fixation in the ordinary mind perspective, traditionally is called two kinds of defilements. The defilement of self as an individuality, defilements of self as a whole, outside phenomena. That outside phenomena is mountain trees, houses, cars, everything what you see. Even you see, so some people easier first, they say, oh yes, there's definitely no self. Because self is really labeled. And our notion of self goes further more fantasized, more fanciful. It's not fantasized, more fanciful. We fancy, when I die, I will go to heaven. And I will meet my grandfather, I will meet my grandmother, I will meet my whole family. And it's going to be one happy family altogether in the heaven. Great, wonderful, But somehow that may not work that way, I think. Because if that is the case, it's going to be a very schizophrenic heaven. Because when you see your grandfather, you will be a child. When you see your grandchildren, are you going to be a child, or are you going to look like an old man? There's a problem with that also. Obviously, when you see your grandchild, you've got to be a wise man, as a man or a woman, a grandma or the grandpa. You can't appear. So there is your grandfather in your heaven. And then your grandchild, let's say, who will join you. Now, how are you going to appear? You can't appear two at the same time. Either you're going to be an old man with a white beard, or either you're going to be a little child. So you see which one. But the belief is, I will see my grandchild. Very fanciful thinking. This is how we just make our ego again, reaffirm our ego. It's nothing more. As I said, it's nothing to be blamed to, anybody else. It's really, the blame is we haven't really introspect too much deeply into those things. So there's something like that. Now, talking about, earlier I said, bodhichitta mind. You don't have bodhichitta, you don't have refuge. Again, I would go back to that. And talking about that here in relationship, the question just now was, how can Padmasambhava, that I can pray? But Padmasambhava, you think in your mind, is a dualistic approach. When you invoke that blessing, How can you invoke and get the benefit in the ordinary world, get the benefit, get the blessing, and bring a change? It's because fundamentally you possess that quality within you, the wisdom of union of appearance and emptiness. If you don't have that, if you have nothing in common with that nature, no matter you can call Padmasambhava, you can call anyone, it will never work. The fact that it's interdependent, but actually you have awareness basically. You're nothing. You're not nothingness. To say that you don't exist, Buddhism said nothing exists, shunyata, that's wrong. That's the wrong view of Buddhism. Therefore, there's a saying, those who view emptiness in the wrong way can be destroyed. Because then you're going to a nihilistic view. You have a fundamental quality. For example, right now you have passions, you have anger, you have, jealousy, you have desire. Each one of them has an enlightened quality too. The essence of desire, out of 5 wisdom, I don't remember the different names right now, but each one of the moment they are transmuted, there's a live, organic, enlightened quality. Instead of like creating neurosis, it can create liberation to yourself and to others. When that is fully open, that's called basic goodness, basic sanity. Basic sanity doesn't mean that you just have a little sympathy here or you're a sympathetic guy. That wouldn't be a basic goodness. That's much bigger, deeper, the meaning of basic goodness. So it's a union, promoted, you have 5, not only that, 5 skandha is 5 Buddha families. 5 elements is 5 female Buddha qualities. That kind of primordial quality is there in us. So, but if so do the Buddhas have that sense of identity? Or I am a Buddha, I am this enlightened. No, they don't, because they liberated the self. They don't have the notion of self at all. Since the self is liberated, the whole sense of being is a source of awakening quality. And to say that there is no awakening quality, then we have to say there is no Buddha nature in being. If it's just empty space, what good is there? For example, Buddha Shakyamuni accumulated merit for 3 endless years. At the end of 3 endless years of accumulation merit, all he got is nothingness. What good is there? Why work so hard to accumulate merit for 3 endless years and all he got is nothing? Doesn't make any sense. But that doesn't mean also he got something and now he's fixated somewhere. That's also not there. So you see, our nature, there is, enlightened quality, but at the same time, that lacks absence of self in that. Because self is the neurosis, self is the ignorance. To say there is no enlightened energy, then it's nihilism. To say there is a self in that, that's neurosis, that's wrong, ignorance. Is an enlightened quality without self, let's put it that way. But then it will go further deeper. Right now, you may experience that as in a human body, but you still have the sense of human body. Do you think that's the ultimate expression of your body? I don't think so. Ultimate expression of your wisdom? I don't think so. It is part of it, yes. Wisdom is not excluded from this particular phenomena, present phenomena. But then this body, when you look, is a creation of, is a reflection of your karma. Karma is created by, yes, there is positive So there's something like that. And then do your daily practice. Those who do your ngundu practice in the morning. Your Dharma, you see, why Dharma is so important? Dharma is important because it's really, as I said, the nature of your mind. Nature of your mind, seeing is the most important to be free. The source of your happiness is there. So therefore, Dharma is the most important. The most important. Bodhichitta is the most important. If you make that, okay, first I'm going to do my life. Then Dharma, let me see. If I have a time, okay, got a time, let's sit for 5 minutes. Okay. I think not very good. You see, Dharma should always be in the mind all the time. Reflection, how you deal with situation. And you may go through a lot. Sometimes you feel guilty. Sometimes you feel hurt, pain. Oh, I haven't been able to practice. How I dealt with that situation today was not very compassionate. You feel bad about it. But that's okay. You're going to go through trials and tribulation. In fact, in the Bodhisattva vow training, in teaching someone who's taken a vow bodhichitta, they will fail. Because compassion is easier to be celibate than bodhicitta mind. Bodhicitta mind is not easy. Celebration is, easy. You can lock yourself, put a, the ancient time when they go to war, the kings, they totally do it to the queens, whatever, So that's a simple thing. But when you really look into compassion, that is very subtle, that's very deep. So we need to really not to lose the perspective of compassion and bodhicitta, and then also see the fluid quality, impermanence, moving, changing, happening. It's very powerful. When you see things impermanence, your whole sense of grasping becomes less. Your heart becomes more open, more relaxed. In fact, you will get more relaxed, more caring, more compassion. And that's good for you. It benefits others, it benefits yourself. That's important. The problem is the notion of permanent self, something existing, so real. We need to break that. That is our biggest obstacle. Okay?
Rinpoche, I have some practical questions about trauma practice. Many years ago, I received the empowerment. I've received it a number of times. The first time from Shenpen Dawa Rinpoche. And just to maintain the connection, I have a concise prayer written by, I believe, the previous Dudjom Rinpoche, which I've done for many years. Many of us have, or I don't know, but certainly there are people here who have completed an undro and may or may not be engaged with doing the Truman undro. Personally, I touch base with the Truman undro, but I'm doing another undro as a main practice. I have here a practice I've been doing, which is by Dudjom Lingpa. And it's a concise trauma daily practice with a concise trauma chud. So basically, I guess I'm asking, and also here's the larger concise Dudjom trauma. Basically, I'm asking for those of us who are not doing Truman Nundro, do we have these options? And if so, can you arrange for us to learn the music and the accompaniment and the mudras that might accompany the practice? So that's my number one question. Do we have room to move in terms of which we do, as long as they descend from the Dudjom Teresar lineage. And then in terms of Dzogchen, like when I visualize, And in some ways, I have to say, I've become pretty good at, getting the details down and everything. But with someone with a wrathful deity in particular, like Truma, who is literally out of her mind, who's wildly outrageous, it's because I'm so used to visualizing peaceful deities. The dynamism of wrath, and to see this being dancing with total abandon and radiating wrathful compassion. I can get the details of what she looks like, but I can't infuse the visualization with that dynamism. It's difficult for me. So those are really two questions. And the third is, could you arrange for us to learn the music and whatever mudras might accompany? Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think you got it right, because she wants to get you out of your mind. That's the whole point. From your comfort zone of ego. In this day and age, when everything is burning like fire, passions and aggressions, of course, the essence of all peaceful deity and wrathful deity is absolutely the same. There can't be two different kind of essence. It's same. But as there's a lot of negative energies, so wrathful deity, as you said, it blows your mind. That's what it's supposed to do. It blows your whole comfort zone of duality and see the non-dual thing ultimately. That is really the meaning of it. And then and that sense of that non-duality is peace. If you want to use word gentle, you can say that. If you want to use peace, you say, because it's transcended all conditioned duality phenomena. So that's one thing. Now in the Dudjom trauma, there is a long version of Dudjom trauma. There's a Tuding called medium version. There's a Tuchung called small version. Now Tuding is pretty long. Tuchung is obviously very long. So Tuchung is something, the short version is good to do daily practice. Given the time, people don't have much time. That's the one. And I have made a number of effort going in Asia, trying to make a recording of the trauma practice at Chhoje Rinpoche's nunnery, and also in Karshang at my monastery. I even hired one time a cameraman, a videographer, and when I finally got that, one has something, two don't have anything. So, not very good. Then I think last time I got some good one. I think I give it to Jim, right? You have it, Jim. So that can be seen. It has got all the melody with all the nuns doing. It's amazing, the whole thing. And please show that sometimes. We can have a trauma class, people, and it's the perfect melody. Now each melody, you see, these are enlightened vision melody. It's not just some composer, of any kind. So what it does is inspire, brings you out of your dualistic mind, creates the experience of energy, just like even in music. Country music brings a certain experience. Rock music brings certain experience. Heavy metal brings certain experience. Same thing. Here is a enlightened, feminine dakinis. It raises your heart and mind and takes you to that place. So it's very profound. So I tell you, in this relationship, I thought to tell you a story. Punda Kempo, You see that over him on the very far left is Sokse Rinpoche's guru. And his son Dudjom Rinpoche said, no difference than Longchen Pa. Incredible Lama. His teacher was Khenpo Ngakchung. Chatal Rinpoche and Punda Khenpo are same guru. They're Dharma brothers, the same guru. So when Punda Khenpo one time was, he was one of the greatest scholars in Eastern Tibet. And later, he ran away to Central Tibet because every day he had to give so many different teaching, and he thought, if I don't meditate, I know so much in my head, but without putting into practice, it's really no use. So he just abandoned everything, ran to Central Tibet, somewhere near Sikkim, called Tromo place. And there he went in the mountain and sat for like 6 years first, and altogether 12 years he spent in retreat. And then, so on the way, when he went there, he met this caravan from Eastern Tibet. In the caravan, there was a person, a yogi, kind of like very hard to, he was a little bit erratic in some way. And the caravan people, because they're not seeing, for him, everything was just like completely, truly like a transcendent quality, illusory appearance. And for them who are so caught up in formality of conventional, they like to see people in certain ways. So on the way, when he saw Punda Khenpo was very highly advanced master, he saw this is a different kind of being. Even he was like one of a very simple yogi traveling with a caravan. Then he remembered asking us, can you teach me nature of the mind? He said, yes, I can. So then next morning, he took him up. The caravan is down there, pitched with tents and everything. You can see yaks. So they went up to a little ridge somewhere. And then first he called the 5 dakinis. When he called the 5 dakinis, Punda Khenpo said his whole body got like hair stood up. Like the singing, dakinis calling. And then he taught him the nature of the mind. He was such, that kind of teacher, is really amazing. So when he was sitting, he can just tell without saying. When he's first he did like this. When he's sitting, he said, no, you're not going through that. When he got to the simplicity, he said, that's it. Without saying a word, he can see it his mind. So after so many years of practice, when he fully awakened, he said, it's really that spark, that, non-dual state is what that teacher have already shown him so many years. That just for a brief moment like that. And of course, one is to pursue in fully realizing that. So when you hear this trauma sound, it's not ordinary melody. They're like enlightened sound to inspire, take you out of your duality and see you experience the blessing of the Dakini principle. So therefore, we will do that. I think it's great. Jim, please arrange that in the future, everyone can see. And the melody is from Dudjom Lingpa's own melody. Because now today, when a lot of people are doing, sometimes melodies get degenerate also. One person give a little bit his or her idea, and it adds up like that. And this is the most genuine one. It is from His Holiness, Dudjom Rinpoche, to his main student, trauma student, one of the great, of course there are many trauma students, one of the great masters is called Lama Chimet, who passed away in Kalimpong. Lama Chimet did trauma retreat under the personal supervision of His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche in Kongpo in Tibet. So Lama Chimet taught that to Pema, that melody to Sokse Rinpoche's niece. And for Pema now taught to many nuns. And so it is very beautiful, and you can hear, it's wonderful. So we have the record and we will make that available, yes. Okay. So do the Tochung practice. Do the Tochung practice you can do, and those who have done Tromangondo fine, those who don't have Tromangondo, you can still do your Tochung practice because you got the empowerment last time. So what does the empowerment do? I asked Jim recently, what has been a change that people say about after the visit of His Soulness? Jim made a very interesting comment. He said, people want to know more about practice. I said, that's a good sign. Because what does empowerment means? It matures the immature mind. So when people begin to see the importance of doing practice, their mind is blessed to see now, the mind is mature to see how to do the practice. So that's a very good sign.
It's good to see you. I was curious if you would be able to give an explanation to start the Troma Nundro. Last time we talked about beginning Nundro, so I just want to see where I can go from there.
This time, a little bit short time, so maybe a little difficult, but I can't give just because this practice needs to be understood properly. I will do that, but next time. But in the meantime, I like to say, I really like, before doing Tromangondo, in order to deepen the Tromangondo, Troma is a revelation of Padmasambhava. I like people to do 7-line practice until I come back from Asia. Those who want to question what practice they should do sitting, they should do Tonglen and sitting, and 7-line prayer of Padmasambhava. Because 7-line prayer was recited by thousands of Dakini at the same voice at the same time. So when you really do with bodhichitta, with devotion, it really brings the blessing. So your practice of Troma later will go without any hindrance. So that's what I thought of asking people to do 7-line prayers.
Hi, Rinpoche. I couldn't hear clearly what you said. You said that we can do some practice, Dudjom practice, without the Nundro. I'm not clear. What was that word?
I like Chhoje practice.
Chhoje?
Chhoje,
Okay.
Troma. Chhoje is Troma.
Okay.
Troma means cutting through. Chhoje means cut through. So here is like cut to the root of the ego. If you cut the limbs, then again limbs will grow back. That's basically what we're doing so many times. So if you cut it from the root of the ego, then all the neurosis and afflictive emotions are liberated. So that's the, Chhoje, what it meant, Chhoje.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question for me is then, since I'm doing the Troma Nundro right now, should I be skipping around trying to
No,
Chhoje,
you
or
do.
just focus on
No.
that for me?
You're doing the Tromangondo, that's right. But what I'm saying, there's an actual practice of the Troma. Actual practice of the Troma. In actual practice of the Troma, there's a large version, medium version, and a short version. So I'm saying do the short version, those who like to do. And maybe on the recording, we have the medium Troma with melodies. So at that time, you guys can all look at that and then do all together. That'll be wonderful, actually, with the drums, and it's so beautiful. Yeah.
Rinpoche, before we're done, can you give transmission for 7-line prayer and some instruction on how to do it for people that want to start with that? And then for many beginning practitioners, I've also had a lot of questions about the Dudjom Tersar Nundro, if that's something people should start.
Tomorrow. Time's up today. Tomorrow I will do. So, I'm here for today and tomorrow. So if you have time, please come tomorrow and we can discuss further, okay? Let's do the world peace prayer now. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities in merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities in merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities in merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience. Thus, thank you.